Welcome to the Grassroots Army Podcast. This platform is for common sense people looking for up-to-date, accurate, and truthful information without the hot garbage corporate media bias. The power of one can lead to the power of many. You never know what small act that you may say or do that may literally change the lives of millions tomorrow. And don't you ever think that you can't make a difference, because you can. Good morning, my fellow Michiganders. Good morning, my fellow Americans. Welcome to the Grassroots Army Podcast. I'm, of course, your host, Garrett Soldano, and there's always something going in the news these days, isn't it? It's like every single morning when you wake up, it's Christmas. What happened the night before? What's going on with Doge? What's Kash Patel going to do? It just goes on and on. But last night, President Trump put his thumb on the scale with the GOP, the Michigan GOP race with chair, and he endorsed our very own Meshawn Maddock. Here's what he had to say about Meshawn. America First patriot Meshawn Maddock is running to serve as chair of the Michigan Republican Party. Meshawn is running to replace my friend, the great Pete Hoekstra, who will serve as the next United States ambassador to Canada. Unfortunately, we lost to Canada in hockey last night. Like Pete, Meshawn has been with me since day one, has been key to our many Republican victories in Michigan, including our historic win in 2024. Meshawn will be fantastic for the MAGA movement, and I look forward to working with her to make Michigan and America great again. Meshawn Maddock has my complete and total endorsement. She will never let you down. Now, powerful words from our commander-in-chief, our president, President Trump. And it's always good when President Trump endorses you. The folks who follow me, we know how that feels when he didn't endorse our run for governor. What happened? We unfortunately lost. But here's what I want to talk about endorsements, and I always talk about this. Like, people have to do their own due diligence. All right, you have to research. When I hear somebody endorsing someone, it puts my antenna up. Say, okay, well, they endorse them. Let me look into it further. I'm not the type of person that is just going to vote for someone. Not anymore. I used to be that guy. Like a lot of you out there, I would just vote straight ticket, not even caring who was running. That was before the pandemic, right? But now when I hear about endorsements, I'm like, well, they endorse it. Let me look a little further. So when you hear an endorsement, you want to dig. You don't want to listen to rumors. You don't want to go into small little echo chambers like Telegram and just see all the candidates, and they're all guilty of this. I don't care what you're running for, just slinging mud, hopefully that something sticks, right? You really just have to look at things logically. See, I'm not a delegate. This race is going to be determined by all the great delegates in the state of Michigan. My hope is that they pick the right person who's going to lead our Republican Party, because 2026, I'm going to get into this a little later, 2026 is do or die in the state of Michigan. Holy cow, are they still continually hammering small businesses? As a small business owner, it's horrible, especially with all the paid sick leave, everything else. I mean, it's very hard to do business in the state of Michigan as a business owner. And that put aside, that is why 2026 is so important, to have a good foundation. Obviously, President Trump believes in Meshawn Maddock. So I want to share a video that I made for Meshawn last week, because a lot of people are like, people are not really plugged in. I think the delegates who are voting are obviously getting an overload of information of what's going on. So I just want all the delegates out there just to sit back, follow your heart. And I want to pose this question, because a lot of these delegates have been fighting alongside me, whether they like me or not, over the past 5 years. They have. We have stood up against the unconstitutional lockdowns, the mandates. We went out there and hammered down for licensed election inspectors, got a whole bunch of people to run as a delegate, never thought they would be involved in politics. And so when someone has been in the fight with us ever since the beginning, whether I agree with you 100% or not, that holds a tremendous amount of weight with me. It does. And that's what I always ran on. If you're going to ask for my endorsement, I have one question. Where the hell were you in 2020? What did you do? It's okay if it doesn't mean that I won't support you, even if you weren't involved in 2020. That's okay. But it's going to hold a tremendous amount of weight with me, because a lot of us went into battle in the trenches, got hammered down. Holy cow. You guys all witnessed what I went through and others went through that stood up against this, still feeling the ramifications, repercussions of that in my business. But it holds a tremendous amount of weight with me. Now, it doesn't mean I'm just going to support you, right? However, if you've been in the fight with me, you and I are going to have a great conversation. You're going to have my respect. You're going to have my appreciation. And you may get my support depending on what you've done since then. That's just me. And for the supporters out there who follow me, it is amazing to me how many people got upset that I'm supporting Meshawn Maddock. You know, how dare you put your thumb on the scale? See, I don't endorse folks. I'll come out and say who I support. That's my right. If I want to get on my platforms, which I have built, to come out and say, I support this person, I'm going to give you the reason why. I'm not going to ever tell you who to support. I'm just going to say, hey, this is who I like, and this is why. That's just what I'm going to do from here on out. I'll never endorse anyone because endorsement, I think, holds a lot more weight, like no matter what. I love this person, and I think humans are flawed. That's why people will get my support until they show me otherwise. I think that's fair. So for everyone that's really upset that I am supporting candidates, sorry. I'm going to continue to stand up and do what I think is right. And Meshawn Maddock, I'm going to show you a video that I made for her last week. A lot of you are going to be surprised on how much she's been involved. My phone also blew up when I released this last week saying, oh my gosh, I didn't know. I didn't know Meshawn was that involved. She's been in the fight ever since the beginning. See, people tend to think you have to be out in front waving the flag and leading the charge to be a leader. No, the most powerful leaders are the ones behind the scenes, the ones organizing and activating these things. That's where leadership is. It doesn't have to be a vocal wave the flag leader. That's kind of how I lead, and that's just me. It doesn't mean that's all leaders what they're supposed to do. Meshawn has been in the background fighting for all of you. And I have what? I have the receipts. So I'm going to show you the receipts right now. So watch. Hello, everyone. Everyone keeps asking me why I'm supporting Meshawn Maddock to be the next leader of the Michigan Republican Party. And so the best thing that I can do is not talk about it, but actually show you what she has done. And I only have time to show what I have from what she did for 1 year, not the years prior to the pandemic and not the years after the pandemic, which she has done a tremendous amount behind the scenes. But I want to highlight what she did and what she was willing to do when, number one, it was very unpopular to do so, when everyone bought into this narrative that this virus was going to kill all of us. She stood tall and she stood up when most people didn't. To me, that shows courage. That shows grit. That shows leadership. Someone who's willing to stand up for what's right, even when it's unpopular to do so. So to begin this story, we're going to reflect back. So bear with me as I go through this timeline, because a lot happened in a year, and you're going to be surprised on how much Meshawn Maddock was involved. So let's go back to February 3rd, 2020, when China released this video, which scared the hell out of the majority of the people in America, especially, so much so that they were willing to give up their constitutional freedoms, their sacred values, and their citizens' rights. So this is where I come in. See, after that video came out, I started to feel inside that something was off. And I know a lot of you felt something similar, that something just didn't make sense. We really didn't know what this virus was going to do. But as the governor started to lay down her hammer and take away our constitutional freedoms, our sacred values and citizens' rights, this is where I stood up and I started to get involved. And that all started with a hissy fit video on April 9th, 2020. Good afternoon, my fellow Michiganders. Good afternoon, my fellow Americans. Here we are today going to talk about, again, the governor. When she gives us lemons, we are going to make vats and vats and vats of lemonade, especially with the clown show that we are currently in. I mean, we're shutting down all these businesses. We're ruining these people's lives. And I knew in my head at the time, I could just foresee what was going to happen. I knew that lockdowns, if you do it for a long period of time, do more harm than good. We're social beings. And I just had all this anger inside of me. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to make a Facebook group. And I did it for my own personal expression. I just wanted to get something off my chest. I just made like a 2 to 3 minute video, just like, why is this happening? This doesn't make sense. And I posted it. And that night, I go home to my wife. There's like 500 people that joined our group. And I looked at it, I was like, holy cow. Like, there's 500 people that feel just like I do. And that's one of the things I think with conservatives, we thought we were alone. And when I woke up the next morning, it was 5,000. And I went to work that day, and later on that day, it was 100,000. And the second night, it was 200,000. The third night, it was 300,000 people. And I looked at my wife on a Sunday afternoon. I was like, you know, what the heck did I do? So at this point in time, our group is growing. People are activated. People are involved. What was Meshawn Maddock doing at this time? Well, she was organizing the protest Operation Gridlock, where they say 10,000 people showed up to protest Governor Whitmer's stay-at-home orders.
This arbitrary blanket spread of shutting down businesses about putting all of these workers out of business is just, it's a disaster. It's an economic disaster for Michigan, and people are sick and tired of it, and they're fed up. This grip of destruction that Michigan is under right now just feels like bureaucracy. Instead of looking at essential and non-essential, let's start looking at what's safe and unsafe and start getting people back to work.
1 month later, she organized Operation Haircut on May 16th, 2020.
Not stand down. I will continue my work with or without a license. I feel I have been denied my livelihood by this governor. I'm sure.
So now we're moving into summer of 2020, where now our Facebook group was taken down. We reorganized our movement, Stand Up Michigan, and we started to lead what? A citizens petition called what? Unlock Michigan. And you know who was a fellow co-chairman? Or I should say co-chairwoman? Yeah, you're right. Meshawn Maddock, where we the people hammered down and got over 539,000 signatures in less than 80 days. Your decision over the last 3 months has proven to all of us that you are a direct threat to those very words that were inked by our forefathers. What's happening right now should never happen again. What's happening right now is that no governor should ever have this much unilateral power to do the things that she's doing. We are fighting back. We are starting our petition to repeal the 1945 law so no governor will ever have this much power again. This is your opportunity. This is your time.
We can get it to the legislature
get it voted, get it through, we can end the tyranny. This is our Super Bowl event. This is everything that we've talked about ever since the beginning, folks. Ever since I started the Michiganders Against Excessive Quarantine. And I told you I would never give up on any of you, and I would not quit until this was done. And this is it. I will live and breathe this thing until it is accomplished. Stand up. We can do this together.
I feel like Mike, Jordan, give me the rock and I'm scoring. Hey, came from the bottom, that's scoring. I swear that I'm up for the sun in the morning. Oof.
Now you fast forward to what Governor Whitmer did during the second lockdown, right? When she started hammering down on these restaurants with all their restaurant restrictions.
Emergency are things that governments do when they need powers to take unusual actions to protect people. None of this is easy, but it's absolutely essential to save lives. We will need to extend the state of emergency.
The state Supreme Court has ruled that Governor Whitmer did not have the authority to extend the state of emergency without legislative approval.
I was out with my boy, first time hunting, 10 years old, we were bow hunting. Literally, I got that message on my phone, and it said Supreme Court rules in favor of legislature. I smacked my son in the chest in the blind. He's like, Dad, what are you doing? I was like, we won. We won. That was literally one of the best moments of my life because I thought we did it. What a fantastic day, a monumental day. Not only did we, the people, hammer down and deliver over 539,000 signatures for our Unlock Michigan, to repeal that 1945 law, but God has decided to bless us again and allow the Supreme Court to come through and vote in favor of who? We, the people. We've been waiting for this moment. We all have. But our work is not done.
The Michigan Health Department today issued new COVID safety regulations that mirror the executive orders Governor Whitmer had previously issued.
I never in a million years would have thought that she would have weaponized the health department. I didn't even know that was possible.
It comes just 72 hours after the Michigan Supreme Court ruling that said Governor Whitmer did not have the authority to issue emergency orders to mitigate the spread of COVID-19.
The ruling does not mean that the orders I issued violated the law. Although I disagree with the conclusion, the court held the law was unconstitutional, meaning the legislature never had the power to pass it in 1945.
She brought the hammer down at the end of November, shutting our restaurants down to 25% capacity with a 10 p.m. curfew. Thank you, Nanny Governor, for protecting us, right? So if you fast forward, now we're around to the election of 2020. What was Meshawn Maddock doing? Was she staying at home? Was she being quiet? No. She was at the TCF Center when they were actually boarding up the windows, not allowing Republicans to make sure the election wasn't stolen.
Tensions did run high while the votes were being counted at the TCF Center when dozens of poll watchers were turned away, being told the tally room was at capacity due to COVID-19 restrictions.
And a lot of restaurants were standing up at this time because they had no choice. They had to stay open or they were going to lose their livelihood. Folks like the Iron Pig, Wood Chips Barbecue, Craven's Restaurant in Hudson, Spangler's in Jonesville, and one on the west side of the state called Marlena's. And who was there speaking on behalf of these restaurants? That's right, Meshawn Maddock. Now fast forward to April 28th, 2021. Who was standing up against all the mandates? Meshawn Maddock. See, not all leaders have to be the one out in front, waving the flag and being the loudest. Sometimes leaders can be the ones in the background who inspire others to lead. And that's one thing Meshawn is unbelievable at, is inspiring other people to bring out their inner greatness. And that's what true leaders do. So for all the delegates out there who have been fighting alongside us during all of these events, during all of these protests, we were standing up against the unconstitutional lockdowns. We were standing up for the barber, Carl the barber, the hairstylist. We were standing up for the restaurants. When we were circulating the Unlock Michigan petition, when we were standing up for our kids, when we were standing up for the election, who was there by our side, fighting alongside us within those very trenches? You know who it was. That holds a lot of weight with me. And I hope it holds a lot of weight with you, because we need fighters now. And Meshawn Maddock has proven time and time and time again that she is not only a fighter, but she is the right leader to take the Republican Party into 2026, where we must win up and down the ticket. And we need that type of grit to do just that. Whew. Wow. Like, man, you you watch those damn clips and it just brings up emotions, doesn't it? Gosh, and they're not all good. Everything that we've been through. So to be honest with you, whether Trump endorses Meshawn or not, it would not have swayed my support for her if President Trump would endorse someone else. Look, guys and gals, when you're in the fight ever since the beginning with what we are doing, what we're able to accomplish, and what we continue to accomplish as a grassroots army, that holds an unbelievable amount of weight with me. It truly does. But you know what? I'm not a delegate. So I do have a say in who's going to lead the party. You guys all do. But bottom line, I want a fighter. I want someone who's willing to do the tough stuff. Or someone who's willing to stand up when it's unpopular to do so, to follow through with what those words mean on that little piece of paper called the Constitution. And I just showed you the receipts. I didn't make that up. Those are receipts. And so when I see all this garbage being thrown around about all the candidates, if you're not backing up with what you're saying with receipts, then you're part of the problem. You truly are. And that's what's so frustrating on looking on the outside in on this thing, is watching the amount of hate and just nastiness. Like I said this before, whoever wins this Saturday, they're good people. The Republicans, they're going to stand up. I just support one over the rest because of what I just showed you. And she's got the connections, the fundraising ability, everything else that you need to be chair. Obviously, you just can't be a fighter. You have to have a lot more. And Meshawn has the receipts to all of those. So I'm hoping that the delegates, hey, here's my advice. Follow your heart. Follow your heart. I would stay off social media today. I would unplug, because you guys are going to have a pretty energetic night tonight, and along with tomorrow morning and throughout the day. Unplug for a bit, pray about it, follow your heart. And guess what? You'll make the best decision for you. That's what my advice to you. Whatever that is, whatever that decision is, that's going to be the best to you. But what you can't do is what a lot of times is they stay on Telegram and they look at all this stuff, and all this stuff is breaking and all this negativity and everything. And then you make an emotional decision. We don't need an emotional decision. We need a logical decision. We need a decision backed by common sense and heart. That's what I hope the majority of you do, is unplug today, go in, follow your heart, vote for who you feel that's going to be the best representation of not only the Michigan Republican Party, but also who's going to be spearheading this thing in 2026 and make sure that great Republican candidates win up and down the ticket. And that's what my role is going to be this election cycle. Is I'm going to do everything in my power to help great Republican candidates get across the finish line to take back our state, because there is a lot of stuff going on in our country right now. Let's move past the chair race and talk about Fort Knox and gold. President Trump and Elon are supposed to find out if there's gold in Fort Knox. And I hope there is, because if there's no gold in there, it's going to create chaos. Because here's the thing. The U.S. economy doesn't directly rely on the gold in Fort Knox. It's a symbolic value, though, of the credibility of the United States and the guarantee of our financial integrity. It's pretty important, psychologically pretty important, okay? It would create a crisis if there's no gold in there. So if there isn't any gold and they open the doors, I hope they have a plan for the fallout, because we are going to lose all trust and credibility. There is going to be turmoil in the financial markets. I feel that the markets would crash. I think. I don't know. But I think it would greatly impact stock prices, bond yields, everything else. I think also the impact on our dollar, which it would decline, the political fallout. There would be a shift in global power because I think China and Russia have some pretty big reserves of gold. And obviously the public reaction. So I'm just as concerned as the rest of you. But I want to leave you with this today is God has put you all in this moment for a reason, to be able to handle it, to take the weight of the corruption that we're seeing, the fraud that we're seeing, the insanity that we have lived through, the pandemic, everything. God has put every single one of you in this moment because you're strong. So no matter what it is, what we can't do is continue like all of our presidents have in the past. And I posted this on X the other day. President Clinton, Bush, Obama, Biden, even Trump in his first term contributed to this unbelievable amount of debt. Okay. You're just going to have to do the research on yourself on what they did. We can go on and on and on and speculate, but they all had a role in this. We can't kick the can down the road any longer. We have to take responsibility because if we continue to kick the can down, guess who's going to have to deal with it? Our kids, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, our future generations, and it's not fair to them. What's fair is for us to stand up, do what's right, adapt, and reveal the fraud. And this is why President Trump losing in 2020 was such a blessing. And we talked about this. If he would have won in 2020, he would not have been able to do what he's doing right now. God has a plan. We said that. No matter how much we all felt that we got kicked in the stomach about everything that's happened, we had to go through 4 years of the Biden administration and all the turmoil. It put us on the path that we're on right now, and it's exciting. Is it going to be comfortable? Hell no. It's going to be uncomfortable. We're going to have to sacrifice a lot. But God put you in this moment. We're going to have to, because that's what good people do. Because evil wins when good people do nothing. And you have to stand up, and we're going to have to figure it out. We're going to pull back the curtain, reveal the wizard, and then we're going to have to come up with a plan. And we need great leaders to do just that. And as we see, President Trump is surrounding himself with some great people to get this done. So no more kicking the can down. Let's figure it out. Let's come together as we the people and get it done. Because this can define us as a country. People will look back on this moment in history, and guess what? You can be a part of it. You don't have to sit on the sidelines. You can look at your future generations and your grandkids and your great-grandkids when they ask that question, holy cow, did you live through one of the most disruptive, chaotic decades in the history of our country? Where were you? Well, son, daughter, grandson, granddaughter, this is what I was doing, right? For those of you who've been in the fight with me since the beginning, Meshawn Maddock including, guess what we can tell those people? That we've been in the fight. We are making a difference. Holy cow, is that something special? Is that something special? You have been a part of this. You weren't sitting on the sideline. You didn't buy into the pandemic. You didn't buy into the mandates. You didn't buy into all this other hot garbage. You actually stood up for something bigger than self. And you know what they call that? They call that passion. And that's what every single one of you have. Our past does not define us. I've said that time and time again. But what you do currently and what you do moving forward defines you as an American, as a God-fearing Christian. It does. So allow that to weigh heavy, because it's a lot of responsibility. It's a lot of sacrifice. It's going to take a lot of commitment. But you were all bred for this. You're all fighters. You all been proving that over and over and over again. So when you look at yourself in the mirror, stand a little taller. Smile a little bigger. And we're going to get through this just fine, whether there's gold in there or not. Okay? That's what I know, and that's what I believe in, is this little thing called America. And I believe in the people of America. I believe in we the people. And I believe in the heart of America. I can go on and on and on. So I will be at convention bright and early tomorrow morning. Come up with me, or come up to me, Talk to me, ask me questions. Love to give you a hug. Love to talk politics. Love to talk about the future of our country. I just love to talk about what's going on in your life. So I'll be there all day, okay? I'll be supporting Meshawn Maddock, and we'll see what happens. But I'm going to say this. Whoever wins, I'm going to get behind. That's just who I am as a person. I'm going to get behind and give that person a shot. However, I'm going to make this point. If you start failing several months into this thing, if you start bringing down the Michigan GOP, I'm going to hold your ass accountable. I don't care who it is. All right? If you voted in, you're expected to do a job. You better unify. You better fundraise. You better get behind great Republican candidates. We better go after the Democrats to secure 2026 up and down the ticket. That's what I'm looking for. And if you don't do these things, I'm going to hold you accountable. Have a great day. Gosh dang, I can't wait to see all you this weekend. God bless you. God bless the state of Michigan. Of course, and always, God bless these United States.